Have you ever seen an American movie or TV show and thought, wow, Americans tip for everything? Hi there, I'm Jason, and this is Jason's Easy English, a podcast that helps you improve your English and learn about American culture with clear, understandable episodes in authentic, everyday language. Today, we're talking about tipping culture in the United States. This topic confuses a lot of visitors, students, and even people who move to the United States. By the end of this episode, you will understand where, when, how much, and why Americans tip. Quick reminder, if you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let's begin with the most important place for tipping in the United States, restaurants. In sit-down restaurants, tipping is expected. Servers usually earn a very low base salary, so tips are how they make most of their money. Because of this, not tipping can feel uncomfortable and even disrespectful. Most Americans tip 15 to 20% of the bill before tax. If the service was good, many people tip closer to 20%. If it was just okay, but not great, 15% is common. If you're unsure, a good idea is to go with what other people usually do. To go with means to follow common behavior. So in Spanish or Portuguese, seguir o comportamento. When in doubt, tipping a little more is often safer than tipping too little. Now, let's talk about bars. At bars, tipping depends on how you pay. If you order drinks one at a time, it's common to tip $1 or $2 per drink. If you open a tab and pay at the end, you can tip around 15 to 20%. Bartenders often remember customers who take care of them. Take care means to treat someone well, often by tipping. So in Portuguese, it would be tratar bem or cuidar bien in Spanish. This can mean friendlier or faster service later. Next up, coffee shops. Coffee shops are more relaxed. You'll usually see a tip jar or a tip screen on the card machine. Tipping is appreciated, but not required. Many people leave $1 or round up the total, or don't tip at all, and that's completely normal. Now let's move on to rideshare apps like Uber or Lyft. Tipping drivers is very common, but usually optional. Most people tip in the app after the ride. A few dollars is normal, or maybe around 10 to 20% for longer rides. If you're new to the U.S., this is one place where you might run into confusion. To run into means to experience something unexpectedly. So in Portuguese, se deparar con, or in Espanol, encontrarse con. You might run into confusion. Just remember that tipping is polite and appreciated. Now, let's talk about hotels, which often surprise visitors. If a hotel staff member carries your luggage to the room, tipping is expected. These workers are sometimes called bellhops or luggage attendants. A common tip is $1 or $2 per bag, or maybe about $5 total. In this situation, people usually hand over the tip. Hand over means to give something directly to someone, so like in Portuguese or Spanish, entregar. So they hand over the tip right after the help is finished. The same idea applies to valet attendants, the people who park and return your car at a hotel. Many people tip $2 to $5, usually when they get their car back. Finally, let's talk about barbershops and salons. When you get a haircut, a beard trim, or salon service, tipping is expected. Most people tip 15 to 20%. If you visit the same barber or stylist often, tipping well helps build a good relationship. One thing to keep in mind, and to keep in mind means to remember something important. Ter en mente, or in Spanish, tener en cuenta. One important thing to keep in mind is that tipping in the U.S. is more about culture than strict rules. It's a social signal that shows appreciation. For many visitors, tipping can feel weird. To feel weird means to feel strange or uncomfortable, right? So like, parecer extraño or se puede sentir raro. So tipping can feel weird, and that feeling is normal, especially if you come from a place where service is generally included or tips are not required. All right, I hope this explanation was interesting and understandable. But before I let you go, let's review the main ideas. Today, we talked about tipping culture in the United States and how it shows up in everyday life. We started with restaurants, where tipping is expected, and where it's usually best to go with or seguir what other people do, meaning to follow common behavior. We also talked about bars, rideshare apps, and hotels, where visitors sometimes run into confusion. Se deparan con confusión, or se encuentran con confusión. In places like hotels or valet parking, it's common to hand over a few dollars. Remember, hand over means to entregar, right? So it's common to hand over a few dollars directly to the person helping you, the bellhop or the valet attendant. The big thing to keep in mind, or tener en cuenta, is that tipping in the U.S. is about culture and showing appreciation. And if all of this feels weird, meaning it feels strange or uncomfortable, that's completely normal. It gets easier with time. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you were able to understand most of the episode and learn something new about American culture. Be sure to follow or subscribe to my podcast, and please share Jason's Easy English with your friends who are also learning English. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.